Never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV, the Friday session. And there's only one man for a Friday session, and it's that man there, Irish Tommy. He's in the house. He's here to do his sort of review of West Ham this season, talk about Fiorentina and more. Tommy, how are you doing?
Doing good now. It's I don't know what you're getting over there. It's been an unbelievable spell of weather here. You know, like 26 degrees every day, blue skies. You know, for the last few days, it's supposed to continue through the weekend. So, yeah, enjoying that. I'm getting my tan going.
The Irish weather is blooming.
I drive, you know, for work.
Yeah.
And so, like, my right arm is like seriously tanned, and my other one's like got a lot of catching up to do.
You know, get working on that tan, Tommy. That's what we all say. Do you know what I mean?
One side, like.
I know, mate. I know. Right, let's get into this, Tommy. Obviously, West Ham 2022-23 season. I've done this all week. I've spoken to a lot of people. It's going to be interesting to see how you see this. I think I know how you're going to feel about it, but take it away, mate, of how you feel this season's gone in your eyes.
Well, I suppose you can kind of split it into two, really. You know, on the one hand, is the Premier League season. On the other hand, then obviously there's our exploits in Europe, and contrasting seasons there. Premier League-wise, it's been completely unacceptable. You know, a team that finished 6th and 7th to then spend between the summer and January to spend the bones of £200 million. And to find ourselves for pretty much the entire season in a relegation battle, playing really poor football. You know, we shouldn't have been anywhere near the drop zone. It was really bad, really bad for much of the season. And I mean, I think we weren't mathematically safe until there was like one game left or something. And at least one game left for some of the other teams. Maybe we had two left and a game in hand or something towards the end. And that was when we became kind of mathematically safe. We knew for a stone cold fact we were not getting relegated. And that's a massively underachieving season in the Premier League. Terribly poor. I mean, it's all kind of coming out now. Moyes even said it himself live on BT Sport after the second leg with Alkmaar, I think it was, where they were talking to him and he said, and Antonio has confirmed this as well on podcasts he's been on, where we tried to play a different style of football, a bit more progressive, a bit more possession-based, a bit more modern style, I guess you would call it. But the team just were completely unable to do it. And Moyes kept flogging it, trying to get it to work. Couldn't get it to work. The players couldn't get it to work. And eventually just had to completely abandon it and go back to what had been working previously, which was the kind of sitting deeper, giving possession to the opposition deliberately. We've been giving it to them all season, but initially it wasn't deliberate. We just weren't able to do what Moyes wanted to do. So went back to just letting them have possession, sitting deep, trying to keep it tight and hopefully nick a goal or two on the counter or from a piece. And it's just really been a bit of a disaster this season, to be completely honest. And given the money that we outlaid, you could see like the money that was outlaid was with a view to changing our style of play. You know, you look at players like Naya Aguero, ball playing centre back. He's not a backs to the wall centre back like Zuma or Oggy or Dawson. Very much, you know, comfortable on the ball, good passer, can carry the ball out from defence. He's in a mixed season. I mean, he's basically reverted now to just being another centre back in the mould of Dawson and Oggy now. He doesn't really get the chance to bring the ball out. He just has to sit back there because we're sitting deep. He spends most of his time in and around the penalty box now, just like the rest of them. Then you look at Paqueta, obviously, you know, just a quality midfielder from Brazil. Great skill, great passer, can get up and down the pitch. He'll graft as well. You know, it took Moyes forever to get him working. And then you look at Scamacca. You know, Scamacca, again, you know, young, modern day kind of type of striker, tall, strong in the air, good hold-up play, good passer, excellent finisher. I think the idea was that there would be players in and around him in advanced positions that he could work off of, and that he would score plenty of goals, get some assists. Obviously, that's been a complete disaster as well, because as Michael Antonio said the last day, if you're a striker under this Moyes system, you're living off scraps. And Skamaka isn't that kind of cat. So just in the Premier League, it's been awful, to be completely honest, and completely unacceptable.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I was just waiting for you to land there, and I was just going to come in. I agree with you 100%. I think this year, I can only accept this year if he wins it, in my opinion. I don't know about you. I can accept this year as a whole because I've seen enough bad seasons at West Ham to take another one as long as we win the conference. If we don't win the conference, he has to go, in my opinion. Like, I don't think there's. I'll keep saying this, and a lot of people have said to me about it's very black and white, with, in my opinion. But a lot of people have said, well, if we don't win it, you still got to respect what he's done and everything. And it's like, but there's only so much a man can go before enough's enough. Like, next season, in my eyes, if we take Declan Rice out of this team, we're only going to go backwards, not forwards. Like, because he's the one who's been leading us forward the last few years. Where do you lie with Moyes for you? I know you're Moyes out, like quite openly, but is it very black and white for you also?
For me, yes, it's very black and white. I would get rid of him regardless, even if he wins the conference. Look, I'll be delighted if we win that trophy. It's a meaningful trophy. We haven't won a meaningful trophy in a very, very long time, over 40 years now, 43 years. Last month, I believe, don't know what the date was in 1980, but it was May 1980. And so 43 years is a hell of a long time to wait. So I'll be delighted if we win a trophy. It's long overdue, and it'll feel wonderful. So I'm not poo-pooing that aspect of us winning the Conference League. But at the end of the day, it is the Conference League. It was entirely winnable for us, this trophy. I mean, we should be doing what we've done in the Conference League. We haven't really played anyone. I wouldn't say that anyone we've played in the Conference League is as good as Sevilla or Lyon or Eintracht Frankfurt. I
agree.
We had a pretty easy group. We sailed through the group at a time when we were struggling terribly in the Premier League. And our draws have been kind. I mean, Larnaca, come on. I mean, it's. I think the only, you could say maybe Alkmaar are kind of a half decent side, but that's about it for me. I mean, I didn't think much of Kent either. I didn't think they were particularly. Look, all these teams the European teams. They're going to be able to pass the ball and knock it about.
But the only thing with that, Tommy, just to come in there,
they were not good teams, James.
Right. I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, the teams that we've played, but I have seen West Ham get battered by Oxford, beaten by Wigan, smashed against Wimbledon in cup competitions. So when people say about look at the talent or look at the sort of teams that West Ham have played against, West Ham have played against worse teams than the teams that we played against and been hammered by these teams back in the day. Do you know what I'm saying? I get it. Don't get me wrong. You're right. Some of the teams that we come up against would be like League Two standard. Yeah. But then I also do go back and look at some of the games that we've played over the last 5 years where we've been beaten by sort of these other teams like the Wimbledons, Wigans and Oxfords back in the day. And it's not like, if you're a fan, you want the easiest route possible. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm
very happy.
And do you know what I'm saying? If someone said to us, for instance, in the FA Cup, we get a League Two side every round up until the semi-final, every West Ham fan would go, yeah, we'll have that. Do you know what I mean? So it's the same goes in the conference. Don't get me wrong. The road to the final has been a very easy one. I think the hardest game for me was probably Ghent away, where we just and that was a draw. Other than that, against AZ, I didn't feel. I think the first half of AZ I weren't happy with. Second half, I think we done all right. But you know what I'm saying? I get what you're saying in regard to these teams, but I've seen us lose against worse teams back in the day when, let's be honest, West Ham was embarrassing. Let's be real. So, I I understand what you're saying there. So
But
if he
but my point is, you can only give so much credit for the
agree,
teams we've beaten. We should be beating
yeah,
them. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
we shouldn't lose to Larnaca.
yeah,
You know what I mean? We shouldn't lose to Ghent over 2 legs. We shouldn't lose to Alkmaar over 2 legs. These are teams we should be beating. Okay, credit to Moyes and the players. We got through those ties and we've made the final. Happy days. But I just don't want people getting carried away. You know, some of
agree.
the talk you hear on Twitter, you swear he got us to the fucking Champions League final. You know what I mean? It's like, calm down. It's like
yeah,
as if you know, like winning the Conference League to me won't change the fact that I think he needs to go.
great.
I can understand the argument from people saying, "Well, look, if he wins as our first meaningful trophy in 43 years, then he deserves to stay on for next season." I understand the argument. I just disagree with it.
Yeah,
I think we have to move on. I just really do. And you know, we do not want to be in the same position in the Premier League next season. You know, where we get a really poor start and 10 games in, we're down near the foot of the table and stuff. I just don't think we can risk that. I understand there's always an element of risk when you replace a manager. That will always be the case, but I don't think that's a reason to be shy in changing a manager.
yeah,
I think, you know, we need to move on now from Moyes. We can see now Moyes cannot play any differently. He's tried it. He's failed. It was horrible. And I just don't like watching us under Moyes. I think we can do better. I think with a better manager who can set the team up to play in a better way. And I'm not saying, look, I'm not even asking for a new manager to come in and have us in the top 6 even necessarily. If he can do that, brilliant. I literally just can't keep watching us play like this. I just hate it. I hate the style of play. I don't like how negative it is. Even against Alkmaar, you know, we sat back and just let them have the ball. I mean, I know we got through, but, you know, we could have gotten through in a different way too. You know, you can play a better brand of football and still do what we've done in the Conference League. I just don't want to keep watching it, to be completely honest. I want a manager to come in who'll play a better brand of football. And if we go on and win this tournament next Wednesday, you know, we're in Europa League next season. And so, you know, it'd be great to see us play in a better style of football and more progressive. And I just think we need fresh ideas. I just don't want to keep watching this Moyes ball anymore, to be completely honest.
See, the thing is, with me, it's very black and white with me, yeah? Because if he wins the competition, right, I don't think you can go and sack a manager who's just won us a trophy in 43 years. I just don't see it. I think it's just wrong on a lot of levels. You know what I mean? He wins us a trophy. I can give him benefit of the doubt for this season. I can, yeah, as long as I can see something next season, yeah? If he loses it, he should be out the door. And it's simple as that. Like, I think if he loses in the final, he's a nearly man. He's nearly got us there, but not quite got us over the line. And I think that is where you go. You cut your ties. You start again next season fresh and go from there. I just don't think you can sack the geezer, mate, who's won us a trophy. Like, because if, as a West Ham fan, right, and you are the same as me, and not people in the chat the same as me, we're all West Ham fans here. The one thing that we ask for is us to win something, yeah, because we don't win nothing very often. Do you know what I'm saying? And I know people that knock the Conference League, but we're West Ham United. We can't be picky. Like, we can't be sort of in a way of going, oh, it's the Conference League, it's Tim Pot fucking league. Like, look who we played against. I will take anything because I'm a West Ham fan. I want to see West Ham win something before the end, basically. I mean, before my end of days, I would like to see some West Ham win a trophy and be proud of this team. Yeah. So I do think it's very black. I do think it's very black and white, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree on the trophy. I'm desperate for us to win it, and I really hope we can get the job done on Wednesday night. I mean, I'll be over the moon. I mean, we're starved, and we've been craving a trophy for so long, and this will likely be the best chance we'll have probably for a long time to win one. So hugely important. And I won't poo-poo it if we win it. I really won't. Despite the fact, like, we should beat the teams we've been up against, we still did have to go out and beat them. And fair play, we've done that. Fair play to Moyes and to the players. They've got it done so far. One more hurdle to jump. Hopefully we can jump it. And if we do, I'll be ecstatic. And I will be forever grateful to David Moyes for bringing that trophy to West Ham. I really will. I just disagree that you can't move on from him if he wins this trophy. I still would.
Yeah.
Still think we need to move the club on from David Moyes. Like I say, I just don't like the style of play, and I don't want to be kind of two-faced about it and kind of flip-flop on it. I feel how I feel, and you know, I
Yeah.
have
No, that's
changed
right, mate. That's right. Listen, I've got to get to this comment here from Joe. Yeah, I know Joe. Yeah, he says you can't give him the benefit of the doubt. Nothing will change next season. It will be the same old with Moyes. It will be another season of moaning about being shit in the league again. The problem is with that is I look at it from a sort of a value of you've just won a trophy. How can you just go and get rid of him? Like, what's the new manager's aim next season then? Like,
yeah,
you see what I'm
we
saying?
win it, if we're in Europe, for me, it's to make sure we're comfortable in the league and that we have a right go at the Europa League.
Yeah,
and the domestic cups. I would have a right go in the cups because that's it for us. Look, we're not going to win the Premier League. We're not going to qualify for Champions League, even qualifying for Europe. Through the league. Let's say it's down as far as 7th place next season. You're still talking about shark-infested waters. You look at how many teams there are now. Arsenal are back strong. Chelsea, I think, will come back strong under Pochettino next season. They're not going to have another season like this one, I don't believe. So you're looking at kind of Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool will probably have a better season. Then you've got Newcastle in the mix there. That's 5 immediately. It's getting very, very hard. I've probably missed someone. It's getting very, very hard to qualify even for Conference League next season, I think, through the league. So I think if we're in Europe, we put everything, I think, into Europa League. Let's see if we can go and win that. Because I think with the squad we have, and if we can add to it correctly in the summer, I think we'd be capable of challenging for the Europa League. We've shown it. So, and the domestic cups, I think in the league, we're always going to struggle to kind of get up into that top 6 now. So I'd love to see us be comfortable in the league, mid-table, playing a nice brand of football so that we're at least good to watch, we're entertained, and have a right go at the cups. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. Players-wise for you this year, Tommy, who's obviously Declan Rice has been the shining light for West Ham. Let's be honest, he's been our best player this season by a country mile. Who else has sort of shone for you this year, player-wise? Start with the positives.
Yeah, the positives. I think eventually Paqueta. Like I say, it was a slow burn. It took a while for him to get going, but I think over the whole course of the season, there are very few players who've been consistently good all season. I think for a lot of players, you're talking about, okay, who's kind of picked it up and been much better second half of the season. I think Zuma's been very consistent when he's been there, when he hasn't been injured. I think all season, even when we were struggling, I thought Zuma was a rock, at the back. So I've been impressed with Zuma this season. I still think he's our best centre back. Despite the big money outlay on Aguero, I still think Zuma's our best and most important centre back and one of our most important players. We do seem to be better with him in the team. So I think Zuma's had a really good season, even when we were struggling. Obviously, you mentioned Rice. He's been. He had a dip as well, though. It has to be said. Yeah. He had a dip as well, but I think the second half of the season, Rice has really picked it up and gotten back to his old self. Like I say, Paqueta, again, second half of the season kind of came to life. I think he's been excellent second half of the season. Benny as well. I think Benny was the one player, like when we were struggling early doors, Benny was the one player who I thought was really putting in performances and was playing really well. So I think Benny's had a really good season. So fair play to him. I know he can be a little. He's frustrating to me because I think he really needs to work on his end product.
Yeah,
he gets into really good positions, and his crossing leaves a lot to be desired, and some of his final pass isn't there, and his shooting is really poor. I don't know why he's so poor at shooting. He just never seems to bloody trouble the keeper, even when he's in really good positions. But when he's been stepped up to take a penalty, he's been spot on as well. So I think overall, I think he's had a really good season. So I've been impressed with him. There are very few others, really, I would say, that have been kind of season long that have really impressed. The rest have kind of blown hot and cold, or they've been in and out with injuries. Same with Antonio. He's only kind of taken off the last few weeks and gotten back to his old self. So he's been very impressive the last few games, Antonio, but not over the course of the season. Same with I think Kerr. He came in initially, looked really good. He had to play at centre back because of Aguerd's injury, and started off really well. But he's kind of blown hot and cold a bit since then. Made some errors, had some really poor games, but then he's kind of picked it up as well the last few weeks, where he's looked really good the last few weeks. Been man of the match for me in a couple of games as well, in big games. So it's kind of slim enough pickings if you're talking about the whole season, because there's really not many choose from players who've been really good all season. I think Benny's been consistent all season. I think Zuma's been consistent all season, and I think Royce has been consistent all season. After that, you're kind of struggling. Even Bowen, who again is one of our best players, first half of the season just wasn't really at it.
No, totally, he won't. Oh, I don't agree with you on that. Who's been your sort of major disappointment this year for you?
I think the biggest disappointment, not necessarily all his own fault, but I think the biggest disappointment for me has been Scamacca. There are different reasons for that. Not all on Scamacca by any means. But, when we brought him in and we got an early look at him, we got an early look at him in the Conference League and Premier League, and I thought, we've finally got a player here. I was thinking, like, this guy is going to get double figures easy in the Premier League. He'll get somewhere between maybe 10 and 14 or 15 goals. First season of Premier League, that would be amazing. This guy, he can hold the ball up. Ball comes up to him, it sticks. He can pass the ball off. He's got a little bit of pace about him. He's tall, so he's pretty decent in the air. He's a proper finisher. He knows where the net is. I thought he had a lot about him. And the way things have turned out for him this season has just been desperately disappointing for me. Really upsetting. It's actually one of the major factors also in why I want Moyes gone. Because, I mean, how long are we going to make this mistake with Moyes? And he came in, he couldn't play Heller because he doesn't suit his system. He couldn't play Chicharito because he couldn't play his system. He can't play Scamacca because he can't play his system. The same thing with Danny Ings. Brings Danny Ings in 15 million, over 100 grand a week. Can't play the system. It's still to this day at this club, despite all of those strikers, and don't be anyone telling me Chicharito's no good, or Heller's no good, or Scamacca's no good, or Danny Ings is no good. These are all proven goal scorers, and still Antonio is the only player that we have who can play up front in Moyes' system. And it's shocking. 35 million. If we're very lucky, Juventus will be willing to stump up 35 million so that we can get our money back for Scamacca, because I think Juventus do want him quite badly. So we might get our money back on him. But you watch him go to Juve and score goals.
Yeah, you just know it, don't you? I think with the Scamacca one, I think when people say he's been like a flop this year or disappointment, I think he's been unlucky with an injury towards the back end. I think the way Moyes has treated him, I think, has also been very, very vile.
What is that injury? He needed surgery.
Yeah.
We had a break for the World. It was known all season. He needed to go get that surgery on the knee. And we had the World Cup break. Moyes wouldn't let him get the surgery. He held off on the surgery, said, no, don't send him for the surgery. He can play through it. And eventually, of course, he broke down and then had to have the surgery. And it's like, come on, man. Fucking hell. You've got a break. You've got the ideal opportunity. A month. Don't play for weeks. And just fucking send him for the surgery. And it's like, my God.
I will say one thing on him, though. Wow. Yeah. I will say one thing with Scamacca. There was a game, and I said that last night, funny enough. Leeds away. He scores a great goal. West Ham come out. I'll never forget that game because it was like just after Christmas, New Year, sorry. And West Ham come out second half, scored a goal. Scamacca scored a peach of a shot from outside the box.
It was a low drive, wasn't it?
Low drive, bottom corner, right, and he was on it that night, yeah. Then Moyes goes and subs him off on the 70th minute. And I was like, you just don't do it. You just and listen, I agree with what you're saying about the Moyes leaving and all that, because I'm in that same camp. I've been like that since Leicester at home, November last year. So I've been in that camp for a long time. Now, when he's subbing off your striker, who's, let's be honest, he's the future. That to me just isn't a good thing. Let's be honest, and it is a shame with Skamaka. I will say that. And let's hope he sort of, whatever happens, if we get our money back, then great. But if he's here next year, I think he needs to be starting. Let's move on though to this. How do we approach Fiorentina in Prague, Tommy? How do you see West Ham approaching this game, and how would you like West Ham to approach this game?
How we will approach it, I think we all know there's no mystery there. It'll be the same. I don't expect any surprises. We might potentially see Sofel start at right back instead of Kerr. But I think that would be the only change I would expect. Other than that, I think it'll be entirely predictable 11. I don't even need to say it. We all know what the 11 is. And we'll do what Moyes has been doing all season in the tournament. We'll sit back, keep it tight, try to hit them on the counter, see if we can hurt them from set pieces. So there'll be no change of tactics or formation or personnel, except maybe Sofel coming in for Kerr. But other than that, I think that's exactly what we'll do. Moyes is predictable, if nothing else. It's gotten to the final, and I believe he'll feel that it can get them the trophy.
Is it the right way of approaching this game, though? Considering the 10-day break, considering West Ham should be fresh, go in there, setting up in a way to sort of allow Fiorentina to come on to us, and then waiting. Right, because I understand the tactics, don't get me wrong, but in a final, I would rather West Ham be proactive than reactive. Like, I don't want West Ham to be sort of sitting there waiting, like playing possum, when, let's be honest, like if Fiorentina do score first, Italian sides know how to defend and know how to see out a game. And they're the arts of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he does set up in that way, will you be sort of, is it a negative approach or is it a wise approach? I know people say about what we've done in Europe already this year, but this is the best team that we're going to play in Europe this year by a country mile. And their front line is very, very good. So, like, I don't think we can afford to go a goal down against these. I really don't.
Yeah, I'd be worried if we approach it that way. It's not that it can't work. You know, it could work again. It's possible. Yeah. But I think in this game, it's less likely to work against Fiorentina than it was against, say, Ghent or Alkmaar. Fiorentina got a lot more about them. You know, they're playing in Serie A. They're playing against good sides. And they've had some very good results this season in Serie A. So I think if we're going to sit back and just try and keep it compact, I think Fiorentina would be much better able to find a way through than any of the teams we've played up to this point. Yeah. So that could really backfire on us. I don't think we're going to keep them out of the net for 90 minutes. I really don't, playing like that. So I think it's the wrong approach. I think it's a higher risk approach than we need to take. I agree with you. I think we should surprise Fiorentina, and I think the opportunity is there to surprise them. Because they'll expect exactly what I just said. They'll expect Moyes to do exactly what he's done all through the tournament. So they'll be watching all the videos of our performances in Conference League all season, saying, right, this is how they set up, they defend, and they try and hit you on the counter, and they're dangerous from set pieces. And so that's exactly what they'll be expecting, and that's what they'll set up to defeat.
Yeah.
I think we come out and we fucking surprise them. I think we come out using a high press, high intensity, in their faces, getting on the ball as often as possible and getting numbers forward. I think they will not expect that whatsoever. And I think we could catch them on the hop. And it'd be one of those games where we could catch them completely by surprise tactically. And we could find ourselves a goal up early, or even, you've seen it before, if you can catch a team completely by surprise by what you're doing tactically, it rattles them. It immediately rattles them, and they're like, "Oh shit, what is this?"
Yeah,
we haven't been set up to expect this whatsoever, and then it causes a little bit of panic, and you can find yourself 1 or 2 goals up after 20 minutes because you've just caught them completely off guard. So I would love to see us come out on the front foot, high press, in their faces, high intensity, getting the tackles in, pressuring them, winning the ball back constantly, and getting after them when we do have possession, getting numbers forward, let the likes of Souček get up there into the box. let Paqueta get forward in and around the D, and let's go and see if we can catch them on the hop and get an early goal or two and really put them on the back foot right from the off. I'd love to see us do that.
I actually agree with you, mate. 1,000,000,000% there. What you just said is absolutely spot on. That's why I would like West Ham to approach it. I think playing this sort of game of waiting could end up in disaster for West Ham. Because just for argument's sake, I use this as an example. If West Ham start like slow and Fiorentina score early, then we're gonna have to come forward. And West Ham trying to force a game when they're 1-0 down because it leave gaps and then we could get done on the break. I would like West Ham to come out and go all guns blazing against this side because I agree with you. If we come out, we could blow this team away. Yeah, but it's something in us this season where we're just not confident enough to do that. Do you know what I mean? I understand people say, well, look what Moyes has done. Sit there, wait. But how long do you wait before you eventually attack? Do you know what I'm saying? Because you're going to have to attack eventually because if we sit there and wait, when we could just either draw the game 0-0 or go down 1-0. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in regards to that. We spoke about the starting 11, Tommy, but we're going to go into a bit more. Give me your starting 11, then I'll ask you a few questions on certain players for me, please, mate.
Yeah, so I would stick with Areola in goal. I still think he's our number one keeper. To be honest, I'd have played him all season in the Premier League too. So this isn't just about he's our cup keeper. I would play him anyway. Areola in goal. Right back, I would stick with Kehrer. I think his form has been really good recently, particularly in Europe. I think he's been excellent. And so I wouldn't be dropping him, even though Safal is back. I would stick with Kehrer. Good passer of a ball as well, Kehrer.
Yeah.
In the centre, Zuma and Aguerd. That's an easy one, really. I don't think there'd be too many dissenters on that one. Left back, I'll play Emerson. I like Emerson on the ball more than Cresswell. I think his ability to get forward and his interplay going forward, his 1-2s, his overlapping runs, I think could be important for us going forward. And I think he's okay defensively. He's certainly not a Masuaku defensively. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
When Masuaku was playing left back, we say, okay, he's good on the ball and going forward. He's got the skill, but hasn't got a clue what he's doing defensively. That's not the case with Emerson. He's a decent defender. And Aguerd is over on that side. And I think between them, they do quite well in not getting hammered down that left-hand side. So I would play Emerson. The other reason I would play Emerson from the start is that I don't believe that Cresswell's got 120 minutes in him. And if it comes to the point that we're in extra time, at half-time in extra time, I'd be getting Cresswell on with a view to getting him loosened up for 15 minutes and then him going to go and take a penalty because I would trust Cresswell all day long to stick a penalty away.
Great.
We play Cresswell from the start and it comes to a shootout, Cresswell will not be on the pitch. He just can't do 120 minutes. And I think we need him on that pitch if it comes to penalties because he's one of our almost dead certs to put one away. So that's the other reason I would start Emerson. I'll stick with the 4-3-3. So actually my three in midfield would be Rice, Paqueta and Fornals. I think Fornals' tail is up. I think he's feeling pretty good about life. He scored a couple of goals recently. It looks like his form is back. Look, like his head is right now again. He's happier. I just think he's a better player than Souček, especially on the ball. And like I say, tactically, I want us to get after this lot and try and create some scoring opportunities and score some goals because Fiorentina, are a good side, but they actually are, for an Italian side, they are actually quite vulnerable defensively. And I think they can be got at the back, that you can score goals against this Fiorentina side. And we've seen that in this competition. They've gotten themselves into a hole a couple of times, conceding goals. So I'd like to see Fornals on there. He's got lots of energy too, like Souček. He can get up and down the pitch. He's a grafter as well. He'll put the tackles in. He'll put himself about. He'll do the closing down. He'll do the hard work off the ball. But on the ball, he's a beautiful passer of a ball. He can carry the ball at feet going forward, do the things that Souček cannot do. And so I prefer his balance to Souček's. I think if we put Souček in there, yeah, he can go and attack corners or whatever, but he rarely scores anyway from them. So, Fornells will do the graft defensively off the ball, but also when we're on the ball, Fornells can get forward as well, has that pass, has that skill in carrying the ball, can split a defence, if you make a run for him. So that's why I'd like to see him in there in the midfield with Rice and Paqueta.
What about up front for you?
The front three again kind of picks itself. It's Benny, Bowen, and Antonio. Let's say Bowen's form is decent at the moment, and you'd be hoping, like Bowen's form has been much better second half of the season. Plus, he's that kind of player that if he catches fire on Wednesday night, like if Bowen is really at it, he can win you the game.
Great.
Bowen can win you a game of football when he's at it. So he has to start. Benny again on the left, want that attacking threat. Corney hasn't had enough football to start, and Benny is our most obvious attacking threat on that left-hand side. He's been really good in this tournament too. He's been one of our better players all season in the Conference League. Gets into great positions. His interplay as well. I think the interplay between him and Emerson and Paqueta, when I've seen it this season, has been really, really good. They've caused a lot of trouble down that side to teams all season when they've all played together. So that combination works for me. And obviously Antonio is the only player we have that can that we can put up there, really.
Agree, mate. I do. He's important. That's why I was doing me nut the other week on Twitter, because I said, basically, I can't have Antonio getting injured because you don't want to bring ins in. I know that for certain. Well, I'm going to ask you a few things, Tommy. First off, number one, goalkeeper. If it goes to penalties, do you sub on Fabianski for you?
I would, yeah.
Agreed.
I think he's clearly the better keeper on penalties. Plus, it would get into the heads of the Fiorentina players a little bit. You know what I mean? The Fiorentina players, right before the end, say 118 minutes on the clock, and we sub on Fabianski, immediately in the heads of the Fiorentina players, it's like, oh, they've put him on because he's really good on pens. I want that in their heads when they're taking their pens. That he's come on because he's obviously really good on pens. And I want them to know they're taking a penalty against a keeper who's really good on pens.
Agree, mate. Absolutely agree. Obviously, you said 4-0 in for Souček. If Souček does start, could it be a case of Ben Rama and 4-0, like a toss of a coin between them two? Now, I'm going to give you this scenario and tell me if you agree or disagree or not. If Souček does play, which, let's be honest, he probably will play. If Moyes goes with 4-0 from the start and has Ben Rama on the bench, will you be happy with that, knowing that obviously Ben Rama could come on, he's an attacking threat off the bench, he can take penalties also, he'll be fresh. So if West Ham ain't going right for 70 minutes, there could be a case of at least you've got West Ham can bring players on who are basically A, going to influence the game in game, and B, be penalty takers at the end of the game if it goes that far for you.
No, I wouldn't be particularly happy. Like I say, I know 4-0 is a good form. This is nothing against 4-0. Like I say, I want to see him play just in the central role where he belongs. I think Benny's got 120 minutes in him, no problem. Honestly, I wouldn't have any worries about Benny playing 120. I think he can absolutely do it, and still take his pen if it comes to it at the end of extra time. So, and I think he obviously, look down that left-hand side, he carries much more of an attacking threat than 4-0 on the wing. Yeah. And again, because I like the way, to reiterate, when I've seen him play in the same team as Emerson and Paqueta, I really like their link-up play. They seem to have a good understanding with each other, those three. So 4-0 I love, but not on the left wing. I just don't think it's his position. And I think Benny will carry much more of a threat down that left-hand side than 4-0 can. I think 4-0 is much better in the centre with Rice and Paqueta.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, mate. I really do. We'll move on to this, though, which is the final bit of this show. Prediction. Tommy, tell me how it's going to go in Prague on the 7th of June, mate.
I think this is going to be a tight game. There is very little in it either way. Like I say, it could very easily go all the way. Would not be surprised at extra time and pens whatsoever. Really don't want that because my heart just couldn't take it. Imagine this game going to pens. I'm going to be a fucking wreck. Brilliant if you win it on pens, but it's just too nerve-wracking. But I think it's entirely possible that happens. But I think we can win it without the pens being necessary. I know Fiorentina are a good side and certainly respect them, and they're absolutely capable of winning this game. But I think if Fiorentina win this game, it'll be because we haven't been great. I think if we turn up, if the players turn up, and I actually believe we will turn up, I think the players really, really want this badly. I think they've got the perfect preparation for it. They've got the 10-day break to get ready just for this game. They're in Portugal. They're having a mixture of training and relaxing and enjoying themselves. They're at the water park. They're playing golf and they're doing their training. They're going to be fresh as daisies for this game. They're going to be ready for it. And I think they want it desperately. It looks like there's a great team spirit there. And I think obviously the same will be true of Fiorentina. They'll be desperate for it. They'll be trying their best. But I think if we turn up and we're at it, we will be too good for Fiorentina. I really believe that. I think we've got better players than them in more positions than them. They do have some very good players, but I just think we've got more of them. I think we've got more game winners than them. Like our midfield, we know Souček is going to start and he'll probably play fine. Okay, he'll probably have a decent game. But, I don't think they can compete with Rice and Paqueta in there. I think they're unbelievable. I mean, that's two unbelievable players. But you could potentially say they're both world-class players on their day. And like I said, if they're having their day and our players are at it, I just think we're going to be better than them. So I'm giving the players the benefit of the doubt that they are going to turn up and they are going to put in a performance. And I just feel like we'll have just too much for Fiorentina. We will be in the game. It will be competitive. We won't win it comfortably. But I do believe that we'll play well enough and we'll have enough to get over the line in the 90 minutes.
Let's hope you're right, mate. Let's hope you're right.
You want to score? You want a scoreline? Or
go ahead, mate. Give me a scoreline.
Like I said, it'll be tight. And I do think they'll score because they do have a bit about them going forward. I think I have a feeling this might be a little bit of a humdinger, you know that. I'm going 3-2 West Ham. I think they're defensively they can be got at.
3-2, Tommy. God damn, my heart won't take that.
Well, I think they can be got at defensively. So I do think there are goals there for us. I really do. But equally, I think they've got some really good forwards there and they've got a bit about them. Their interplaying around the box is pretty tidy and clever. So I think they probably will break us down a couple of times too and nick a couple. So I think it'll be a humdinger of a game. I don't think it'll be the shit fest like the Europa League final. I think this will be a much better game. And I think there will be goals. I think 3-2 to the Hammers.
I will take a 3-0 up and then just sit there defending for our lives.
West Ham, James. We're not going to do this comfortably.
I know, mate. This is the West Ham way. We don't do it easy at all. Tommy, thank you very much for coming on today. I really do appreciate it, mate.
No worries,
really do. Also, I want to thank you for your sort of participation this year, Tommy. Jumping on the previews with me and being a part of E20 also. You've done the previews with me and you're top man. I respect your opinion. Me and you've had many humding rows over the years over certain players, but the one thing I will say,
I think we both have that personality. I think we both quite enjoy a row, don't we?
Yeah, what it is though. But one thing I will say is I might not like the opinion sometimes, but I respect it. That's the difference. I respect, do you know what I mean? There might be a certain issue, like things and opinions where I go, I don't know about that, but I do respect it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I look at it from both sides of the coin. And fair play to you, mate. Please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Obviously, go and follow Tommy on Twitter and all social media outlets. And I think that's me done for today on here doing this E20 zone supporter zone Fiorentina West Ham previews all week. It's been a busy week, I will say that. But if there is any more, just subscribe to the channel and you will see more.
Also, before we
Go on,
go,
mate.
James, can I just say to anyone who's watching there, James will be on with me along with Nick from Claret and Booze and Gatesy from West Ham Orange channel. So they will all be on with me on West Ham Network at 10 p.m. tonight. So we're going to be talking about all things West Ham, the final, Antonio's comments, and the Declan Rice situation with Arsenal and Bayern and all that. So tune in 10 o'clock tonight on West Ham Network if you're free, and hopefully we'll see you all there.
Good man, Tommy. Good man. Anyway, I'm going to let everyone go and enjoy their Friday afternoon. Let's just hope what me and Tommy have discussed today comes true and West Ham do get the result in Prague. Do you know what I mean? I know all the lads are going there from E20. They're going out there. I really do hope we get it done, and I hope for everyone else's sake that we can celebrate a win and a victory and also a trophy is the main thing of all. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Andy Tava. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.